Hello and welcome. Happy to have you all here today. And our session is all about AI action plans and really turning those CEO mandates into strategic success. There's so many companies now that are realizing and leaders that are realizing it is time to take action. And it can be very complicated to know where to start. But I have two outstanding guests with me today. Very excited to have you here. And first, Philip Topham, I want to introduce you. Philip has over 25 years of experience and excels in being a strategic leader and really driving that operational excellence. He's the founder and principal of The Savvy Founder and specializes in propelling established companies with revenues exceeding 10 million towards sustainable growth, and has a rich background, which I really appreciate for our conversation today, as a CIO, a startup CTO, and has been a board of advisor directory as well. So currently, the connection with part of our conversation here is his initiative to become a certified MindStudio AI developer. And he is really helping companies adapt in competitive markets through AI strategies and really customize bespoke strategies. So welcome. So happy to have you here.
Very good to be here. Very happy to help and share what I know.
Excellent. And we will also be showcasing a solution that you created to show, kind of pull back the curtains, how you went about doing that. And I am also really happy to have Peter Bittner here with me. He is the founder and CEO of The Upgrade. He is also an award-winning multimedia journalist and media strategist, so comes with a really interesting, different perspective. And his work has been featured in the New York Times, CNN, and major outlets, and has a really interesting background as a Fulbright scholar and UC Berkeley lecturer, and is in this situation today going to showcase the opportunity to have that no-code AI upskilling through the MindStudio Academy. But let me start out by asking you both a question, and that is just, when was kind of that first moment that you found yourself really captivated by AI and deciding to take action as a business and a focus for your career and your company? Philip, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, so there's two parts to that. One is I have been using AI since 2008, when I built it into a company, a startup that I was using, and that was their traditional machine learning, predictive algorithms, supervised, unsupervised. But it was when the ChatGPT came out, and I saw the amount of adoption and how just rapidly it was. It was incredible how fast it was. We've seen, and people said it's like the .com, the takeoff there, and the internet and the birth of the internet. And I said, no, it's not. You've got an entire world that's trained to use computers and phones and things. It's completely different. And it took me, and that's really why I dug in to the generative AI and said, I need to learn this, right? I'm always about the future and where it's going, but I wanted to learn more deeply than secondhand from, or even third hand from somebody on some reporter on Fortune magazine or Wired magazine telling me about AI. I wanted to experience it personally to understand what it's going to do for businesses, be the future for you, for communities and everything. So that's what I did.
Excellent. And Peter, how about you? You have a background in how you were exposed to AI and MindStudio. When did that kind of come together where you wanted to jump in deeper, and now you've really taken off with helping people learn AI and how to integrate it into their companies, or even design their own companies and agencies in the space?
Right. So I guess those two moments were pretty far apart for me. Kind of the first aha moment was when I was teaching at Berkeley in the new media program. I was handed a syllabus in about 2018 or so, somewhere around then, from my advisor, who was handing me a class to teach during the summer called The Future of Visual Storytelling in the Graduate School of Journalism. And I saw a whole unit on AI, and I was like, what the heck is this doing here? Like, what do you mean AI is going to be involved in news and media communications? Like, what is AI? So I started to really go down the rabbit hole at that point and dig around, and a lot of the individual tools at that point were no more than sort of stand-up websites where you joined a beta list, and there wasn't even like a video demo, right, for most of them. But even just the claims about the direction of the technology and how it could impact everything from content production to operations had me so intrigued. I was like, okay, I really need to understand what is going on in this space, and through that basically ended up incorporating and building out more and more of my curriculum at Berkeley in the AI and media intersection. And then when 2023 happened with GPT 3.5, and everything sort of took off from there, just as Philip mentioned, super fast. I stood up the Upgrade as its own business, really focused on that intersection of upskilling, right, for all different types of professionals. And so I began teaching AI fundamentals and best practices for a variety of different types of working professionals, right, from marketing to communications and sales folks too. And I discovered MindStudio on my own. I'd been following Dimitri Shapiro, the one of the co-founders of MindStudio, for years on LinkedIn. I was always super intrigued and impressed by his background, and I basically signed up for MindStudio and was like, this is so powerful. And I joined, as a customer, and then eventually reached out to Dimitri and said, my students are loving MindStudio. How can we collaborate? And so for the last nearly 6 months or so, I've been working very closely with their team as a third party to essentially help them create their curriculum and course certification process, and do that, as a partner. So I've really enjoyed working closely with their team, and we've now had, I guess 4 or 5 different cohorts of MindStudio certified developers come through. We are super excited about this new MindStudio Academy approach. Our courses are selling out, so we're now offering 2 cohorts per month, and those are already filling up. So I encourage people to take a look. But it's just been a really fun journey so far, and pleased to have Philip here. I loved his final certification project, and his sort of mindset, I think, and skills and background here are so important in the space, and a great example of what students can accomplish in the real world, right? And so I'm really looking forward to hearing more about that.
Excellent, excellent. And I did just add a link to the Academy and a QR code in the upper left-hand side, just as we go forward. If it captures your attention and interest, curiosity, please go ahead and check that out. And Philip, one of the things from your background and now working more closely with leaders for their own bespoke solutions, what do you find are the most common misconceptions that you encounter about implementing AI within their business operations? And just how are those conversations going? How are you addressing those concerns and misconceptions?
Yeah, great question. Well, part of that, when I did my own journey into AI, I committed myself to writing 100 articles in 50 weeks about what I learned. And so some of those, exactly what I found about the companies is the largest of companies have the professional stock analysts going, what's your AI strategy? What are you doing? So the big companies are doing stuff, and they're spending millions and millions building their own large language models. And then at the other end, it's more a case of nobody's asking them, but eventually their staff is starting to use the different chat GPTs and models, and they're going like, what do we do, folks? And then suddenly the CEO one day reads a newspaper about it's going to change the world, and the edict is, hey, I want AI. And so I wrote an article on what does the director do when that happens? And there's two basic ways. Really, if you are a company and you already have a strategy, you simply go to your strategy, look it up, find a project or something that's important to the company, and figure out how to weave a little bit of AI into it. And MindStudio, no code, low code is a perfect way to do it. Versus the other way is there's no strategy, and so you've got to find the key indicator, something that a performance review and some project around that, and use it that way. But it goes even further than that. The other part that I'm hearing about CEOs and things is there's companies that are literally saying, hey, everybody, guess what? You've got a free account to, Copilot or ChatGPT, or here's your credentials for Llama, and we've done something. And suddenly people were writing crappy emails and crappy reports and just using ChatGPT natively and not thinking through the process, and then everybody gets disgusted by the poor output, the reduction in workflow, and nobody likes our social media posts or to AI. And so it goes through this cycle, and now they're going, oh, that didn't work, right? And you're both smiling, and you've seen it, right?
Right. Yes, experienced it.
Experienced it firsthand. And so that's where I help them understand what they're doing was the traditional. They fell prey to, hey, this is a new technology, let's just do it. And you would never give a calculator to somebody before a math test and they've never used a calculator, right? You just wouldn't do that. You would show them how to use it and what to use, which is great. But then we sit down and we go through a process of, how do you introduce the technology? How do you find those low-hanging fruits, the workflow? How do you teach the organization? How do you teach the managers to manage with it? Just like Peter came to AI because it was on the syllabus, right? And then he had his self-initiative to learn it. It takes a while for a company to learn how to use it, where to use it well.
I think for so many leaders, they've worked very hard to have their reputation and their brand of their company. And as powerful as the tools are, it's very easy to veer off into something that doesn't reflect well on the organization, even if it's efficient. And one of the things I personally loved about the MindStudio solution is your ability to control that and to create bespoke solutions in a very efficient way that actually will take all of that into consideration and not having to start over and over.
Yeah.
And speaking of that, Peter, why don't you tell us just an example of one of your students, like a challenge that they tackled and how AI technology provided a solution, kind of what the impact was. And I know there's so many fascinating ones coming out of the certification, and now people have gone on and built businesses. And you mentioned you've been doing this for 6 months, and it's just been spinning off so many, really amazing things. So could you share one of those stories?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are so many different possibilities with MindStudio. It's such a versatile tool. So we see people doing everything from their content and editorial automations to things that are a lot more operational or financial in terms of their orientation. Some of the simplest ones can be some of the most exciting to people when they created an AI assistant to generate blog posts for their small business in the exact tone of voice, trained on all of their specific, previous blog posts, as well as on transcripts or audio files from lectures and podcasts. And so, some of those things are almost the most excitement that we see from people when they realize, this is just the tip of the iceberg too. After they've develop their first AI, then we see the light bulb really go off when they understand I can do this same type of automation for all these other aspects of my business too, from financial forecasting to, figuring out sales workflows and prospecting, like Philip here is a master of. But there's just almost too many ways to even start to explore that without being a full hour lecture. But yeah.
Excellent. Well, it has been fascinating. And I know for me, it's that same thing of thinking back over, a career and just imagining what's going to happen in even a couple of years, of how much more time and energy are going to be freed up for just really interesting creative endeavors. The things we all wish we had more time to do, we have and will have more time to do. But one of the things I often hear about is so many companies are, founded and created by non-technical leaders. They are not, their businesses aren't around technology. Philip, what would you say about how leaders could get more comfortable with deploying AI within their organizations and really creating those strategies and just kind of leaning into that, recognizing there's the positive outcome?
So excellent question. So there's one thing I really tell them first, right? So if you have a non-technical leader, and I'll use this as a circle, my one hand, and then you have the technology on the other hand. If they both say, hey, you do the technology, I'll do the business, and they slice it that way, you notice that there's no overlap, there's no communications, there's no ability for them to coordinate and even understand what the other wants to do. The technology department would completely be go in one direction that they think is what the business is doing, and the leader thinks they're going in the direction he told them to go. And it just doesn't work. The opposite is companies found, like they're AI companies they found, and they're both technical, or they know only what the other person knows. And so you need a little bit of overlap. You do need a little bit of knowledge, not a lot, not as much as I'm doing, but that's because I want to be able to deliver the best that I can do. So I go very deep on a subject. But most leaders don't need to do that. They need to know just enough. Like, if you're in the HR space, what is HR really doing? What are they talking about? What's going to happen? What's the trends? It's starting to happen. When an article says HR and AI, instead of going next, read it. Maybe you won't understand all of it, but you start to get a sense of where the industry's going, and it's not as scary the next time. It's just like going back to being learning a new technology. You won't expect to know all the buzzwords or all that stuff. So that's my general advice. You do not need to be an expert, but you need to learn enough to understand what the possible is, so that when you have those conversations, the remarkable can happen. And that is my mantra. Like, AI is changing, the world is changing so fast. Alone we will fail, but together we can build the remarkable. And it needs that CEO, executive, visionary leader, and all the people, the technologists and engineers and marketers and people to build the rest of the company. But there needs to be that communications.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent. Well, and we're going to pivot now to one of your solutions. And as I'll ask you a question, and then Peter's actually going to be hopping off. One of the things that has spun up because of this technology is AI academies and AI. I'm blanking on them, not saying the right word. The agencies. That's what I'm trying to say is. And there is an AI agency training. And so Peter's going to hop off here, and thank you for joining. Wanted to make sure to include you. And again, there is the link and the QR code to the Academy if you're curious. And then Philip, we're going to go ahead, and I wanted to just say, as you give the demo of your solution, what should people be looking out for, and what's making this innovative? So just maybe that frame of reference as you showcase what you've designed. And Peter, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
All right. right, let's make sure I got the page up here.
Okay, fair enough. And I think as you are doing that, one thing I would recommend people keep in mind is just kind of thinking about your day to day and the challenges that you run into, the things that you do over and over, where you spend time that maybe isn't just leaning into your brilliance or what you're, most valuable for, and really thinking about how does this come together.
So before I show it, let's put it into context. And with a lot of the AI, I tell companies to really look at their workflows. Where is a human involved? Where is a human thinking through things, doing something, communicating? Frankly, a chat, a large language model, the emphasis on language, well, that came from us. It came from us humans. So if there's anything in the company that is very human oriented, then it's a great opportunity. And especially if you give something to 10 humans and you get 10 different answers, right? Which is what your problem. That's what you said. Like if you give ChatGPT to 10 people and ask them to write something, they'll get 10 different things. But by putting a little bit of guide rails on it, that's what the MindStudio workflow does. And it's no code. And so I can do it. Yes, I know Python programming and I've done JavaScript in the past, but I'm not a programmer. I'm a really good user of tools. And so I saw all the things listed in the what can be done and the creating content, and that's where everybody is writing content. And I said, well, where else do people do things? And there was the application for customizing sales literature, and that was fantastic. I says, well, what else is in the sales process? One of the things that salespeople do, but they hate to do, that is figure out the person, the profile, what discovery questions or icebreaker questions should I really have. It's a tedious process. It takes time, and if you're working in an organization that measures you by the number of phone calls or the number of miles driven or whatever, some people do it, some people don't. So I thought, can we do something? And that's where this concept came up. Can I take a salesperson's profile, a customer's profile, have the chat do all of that research and give me some icebreaker questions? And the result is it was stunning. We used for the course at Peter, I did the course through Peter, and use him as the target. And it picked up that he did a Fulbright, and it asked, how did the Fulbright impact your business decision to start a business? Like, I don't know that I would have come up with that question,
right,
but the chat did, right? Because it's got all our knowledge base. So let's do that. I gotta find the share screen here. Share. Make sure I pick the right. I've got a bunch of tabs. Let me make sure I got the right.
I'm excited to watch your story around this as a former sales director with the team. That pre-call planning has such huge impact on close ratios. And it's really exciting to see something that can make it so much more time effective.
Yeah. So the one thing that's really remarkable, this is not this is where somebody's already put in their information. And let me just give people an orientation about MindStudio. Is one of the things is every company has their own materials, like who they are, what their vision, what their mission, their stuff. That doesn't really change. And what you can do with, if you were building this in ChatGPT, every time you'd have to tell it what you're doing, or you'd have to make a GPTs, and you would hope that it's correct. There's pre-created questions that you can do. And this is where, who's the company, the savvy founder, and you load this in once, right? what's the vision of the company? It's to better build a better future by empowering future forwarding businesses. I only help companies that are building a better future. If you're building, weapons or a cannabis industry, I'm not the person to help you. But if you're using AI to help people in any number of industries, fantastic. I don't care. Prop tech, real estate, health tech, biotech, IoT. You can put in your company's mission, optional. You can put in what are your products, anything else that you want, like your brand story, your brand tone, you put that in. And then you can upload a salesperson's profile. And I'm just going to use mine. And then it's going to ask you to upload the sales prospects. Let's put in Peter's. And it would process. And rather than wait for it to come, it'll ask you then to, I'm just switching over to one that I did previously a few months ago. Same exact stuff. It allows you to edit this, or it allows you to do a chat with the system. And I'm just going to show you how it edits. So it created a profile of Peter, who is the CEO, Masters of Icebreaker questions. I noticed you have a background in Spanish and no code. How did this influence your work? Right. I probably read over that and my eyes just glossed over it. So it's remarkable of what it picks up. I also ask it to do discovery questions, and these discovery questions are based on your company's products and services, right? Considering your background in no code and my expertise in sales, how do you envision leveraging innovation tools like ours to streamline your processes and drive growth and upgrade, right? You can see it's very specific to Peter's having a upgrade studio and streamlining the engagement processes. Oh, Shellen, did we lose you? Oh,
I'm here. Yep.
All right. Did you get that, or I was talking, I couldn't see you, and we lost you for a little bit.
No, absolutely. I just got out of the way so that everyone could focus on you and what you were sharing. Yeah, I just think it's so fascinating to be able to, get that set up and customize for your company and the workflow, and to be able to, once that's in place, just quickly do that planning, and the odds of building that rapport and trust and moving a sale forward is increased so much.
Yeah, you can even the extensions of that is if you have a CRM system. Right now, you can have it automatically populate into the record, and so the information is already pre-populated. The person has an appointment. It shows all the discovery questions, icebreaker questions automatically. You can build that into the system. I think the only limitation that I have found so far is LinkedIn is not a very nice, Microsoft's not a very nice player with data sharing. And so you have to legally, you have to download the profile and then upload the profile. There's no API access for LinkedIn. That's just their choice. So if you don't like it, complain to Microsoft. Maybe if we can get another 100 million people complaining, they might change.
Well, they just hit 1 billion people on there. So
yeah, exactly. Oh. Yeah. But it's fantastic what you can do with it. And that just is, thinking creatively. And that's probably the bigger skill in AI, is a creative thinker, humanities thinker, connecting the dots. Prompt engineers should not apply, right?
Well, I think that is one of the really interesting outcomes right now is, over the last decade, there was a lot of pushing people into, computers and learning how to be a developer and business and, these very practical, college degrees and education. And right now there's so much more emphasis on humanities and the arts and creativity. There's so many of the functions that are going to need to happen that are more of that practical side will be supported with AI and allow more of that creativity and coming, being able to bring to life things that you've imagined that just we didn't have the money or the time or skill to do in the past are now so much more accessible. It's just stunning what people are doing already. It's happening so fast.
Yeah, I use this. I often think of the internet and social media as a hearing aid. Like it's like we didn't know we couldn't hear and speak to a large audience, so we're doing that today. Like the internet gives us this capability that we didn't know we were missing, and now we have it. And I think AI is the same thing. Is it gives us this capability to be even more creative than we are now. We're generally creative creatures, inquisitive, communicative, social. We forget how social we are. We have to see. I love that when you're smiling on the camera, right? It's great. Like we're having a conversation, even though we're miles and miles apart. So it's really, AI is going to unleash a round of creativity, like something we've never seen before.
Well, to me, I have 12-year-olds who are twins who are about to turn 13. And in the past, college was a no-brainer. Like, of course you're going to go to college, and getting, a master's degree could be incredible. And I still appreciate education. And the past of you get your education, you go to work for a company, you put in your time, you have this, great benefits and a pension, and that path, it just has been blown up for most people. It just doesn't exist anymore. And so being able to be someone who has skills and abilities to create value and activate them and not have to be dependent on any particular company, although there's incredible opportunities within companies as well. This is, to me, more than any other time, 6 months ago to today, of somebody being able to come in, be a solopreneur or have a side hustle or build a business. It's so much more accessible and affordable than ever before. And that, to me, has been really inspiring to see what's possible.
Yeah, we're definitely in this transitionary period. I've had a couple of people that sit on boards for universities and the business department, and they've asked me, "What do you think they should be doing?" And I'm going, I think we need to have a bunch of people in a room. It's not just Philip's idea about what to do. It's going to take a whole more than just my sense of what doing. But the drudgery of accounting, of basics, accounts payable and accounts receivable, it's just matching things up, weird receipts to other things, and the AI, the ChatGPT, and that can do that. The generative AI can do it really, really well. So if you're going to school to be an accountant, you're probably not going to be, supervisor accounts payable. You're going to be overseeing the robot that does the accounts payable, and there's going to be a lot less need for it. But at the same time, the financial need and the creativity and how to set up startups and how to function those, tremendously needed.
As speaking to a room of leaders, what would you say, if you're future gazing a little bit, and we don't have to go out very far, but in the next year or so, where do you think there's the most opportunity for leaders who are trying to, I guess, two ways, opportunities for their organizations would be one question. And then I'll circle back to, what do you recommend that they personally do right now to make sure that they stay relevant?
So to stay, I really recommend they balance the optimism, like this creativity, and the opposite side of things. So I'm going to call out IBM for taking 700 marketing people and laying off 90% of them and replacing them with chatbots, right? That, I'm going to say, that's the example of a company that is taking from society, and they'll be irrelevant in some numbers of years, right? Those companies that are embracing the AI as this creative unleashment and empowering humans to be human and socially cooperative and all the things that have allowed us to build these phenomenal societies and phenomenal technologies and making new personalized drugs and fusion and you name it, the Star Trek holograph, holodeck is coming, right? Those things require us to reimagine how we're connecting with people. And so if you're a leader, really understand how your AI is going to change your business, but also understand how to connect with people and be more than just cost cutting. It's not, cost cutting is going to damage your children's children and you're going to be irrelevant. You have to find that visionary force of how you're going forward past just cost cutting. So that's my advice to them.
Where would you say, so right now, right, there's so much information bombarding. Are there resources, groups, places that leaders can go to sort of be inspired to, look at elements that you just discussed? Like, I just wonder, is there anywhere that you found?
The closest we have to that is a shout out to Peter Diamandis and Samuel Ishmael, the Exponential Growth Organization. That organization talks about all the abundance of technology and all the things that can be done. I'll also give my personal opinion. I think it's wonderful on that side, but the talk about abundance is so great. They don't have a solution for when the opposite side, the cut in productivity. So they'll mention like, oh, we'll need universal basic income because all of this stuff, and it's not necessary. That's in my opinion, that's not necessary. So there isn't yet a singular place for dialogue. Places are in, if you're reading this and you're watching this and want to reach out to me and figure out how we do that, because I'm trying to, how do we do that? What's next? It's a great question. But, yeah.
Well, is there anything else that you want to leave with today? Any insight or advice? And definitely want to make sure to let people know how to reach you and where they can connect with you.
Yeah, but my best advice is it's anything new it's new for everybody. It's new for everybody. So even if you listen to me and you think I know a ton, it's still new to me, right? So if you just want to get started. You have some workflows, some things in your business. You want to know how would it work? How would it not work? Certainly reach out to people that are doing that. Get multiple opinions. It's so new. There are the technologists that are trying to teach you the minutiae of it, and I don't think that's relevant for CEOs and directors. Not even close. It's all the other change man. It's all that person who can straddle the technology and the business strategy, leadership, cultural change, all the fear and uncertainty that goes with those things. And then just the practical, how do you get people to use something that's new, at the grassroots? And that's having been that CIO and CTO, I've experienced it over and over again. So it's second nature to me, and I forget sometimes how easy it is for me, and it's a struggle for others.
Yeah, and I have to say this time period and some of the tools that are out there, including MindStudio, are so much more accessible that you can actually have the outcome of somebody that has huge technical knowledge 1 year ago. You can actually learn and create, and there is an 18-minute video that's like a training video at MindStudio, and I've included the QR code again that will actually help you with just an overview of it and how you can actually create something. They give you the ability to remix what other people have created and wanted to share. So you actually don't have to start from square one, and just kind of lean in and start to learn. And YouTube for me has been an incredible tool of just, learning and seeing what people are doing and finding inspiration. So Philip, I so appreciate you taking the time. I know we both had a chance to do the MindStudio AI developer certification course and work on these projects. And it has sparked so many incredible conversations with people all around the world that are just bringing this to life. So thank you. I appreciate it. And it will be exciting to stay in touch and see what you are helping to create with your new clients.
Absolutely. Absolutely pleasure to share, and absolutely here to help.
Perfect. And then where should people find you? So I will drop your LinkedIn profile, and obviously in the event it's here, but is there anywhere else that you'd like them to connect with you?
Yeah, certainly on LinkedIn. If you're wanting to chat about it, you can always go to the HTTPS savvyfounder.youcanbook.me.
Perfect. And I will, I'm going to put that up here right now, that QR code. So if anyone wants to just go ahead and connect in with Philip, you can do that there. All right. Well, thank you again. And we'll be back here next week with a